Right, so good evening and welcome to tonight's webinar, How to Keep Your Dog Happy, Not Just During Lockdown. So we've got a few things that we're going to be going through in this webinar. The purpose of the webinar is kind of to tie everything together, what we've done within the isolation station. This is available to you guys only tonight on live. Once we've done live, then I will be going to admit someone else into the room. Once we've done this live, I will be sharing this with those that were part of the 14-day challenge, as well as those on the Pets Don't Press Facebook page as well too. Okay, so this is purely a special treat for you, just being live. I'm not in my Harry Potter dressing gown tonight, unfortunately, as well too. I know how much is enjoyed seeing us in that throughout the lives that we've done during the isolation station. So purpose of tonight's webinar, as I've said, is to tie everything together that we've gone through throughout the isolation station. Obviously, I had a lot of turbo calls with you guys. We've done the Q&A sessions. So I've kind of tried to put together a webinar that's going to really answer a lot of those questions as well too, just because I know certain people may not have asked them. So it's kind of, like I say, it's just to tie everything together for all of you. Okay, so what are we going to go through in this webinar this evening? First things first, we're going to look at why Pets Don't Press does not recommend the dominance theory. And the reason I've included that is, especially during the turbo calls, I've had a lot of people, Sam can't get in, sorry, Sam can't get in. I've just admitted her in now, so hopefully she should be in by now. Okay, so the reason I included the dominance theory within this is because when I've done a lot of turbo calls, a lot of you guys have mentioned that you think your dogs may be dominant in certain species, and that's certainly something I want to try and rule out with you guys straight away. And I'm going to talk you through a little bit more about the dominance theory, what it is, and why we shouldn't be using that form of training when it comes to training our dogs. Okay, we're also going to look at how to continue to train your dog with positive-based methods of training. We're also going to be looking at what we can do with clicker training as well too, and then we're also going to be looking at how to read your dog's body language. Now, the reason I put that in is I think personally that every dog owner should be able to read their dog's body language as well as other dogs' body language as well too. There's a lot of people, again, going through the turbo calls that I had, a lot of people that have got issues with dogs outside, also got issues inside where the dog has displayed aggression towards either them or other dogs. This is going to help you with that as well too. Okay. So first, we're going to begin by talking about the dominance theory, okay? So what is the dominance theory? Where did it come from? So this was a study done in the early 1900s by a Russian scientist. I'll not try and pronounce his name, but it was done in the early 1900s. Basically, what it was a study done on a group of wolves. These wolves weren't related. They were picked from here, there, and everywhere, and they were put into an enclosure, okay? Think of it like the Big Brother house, okay, where you've got people from all over the country in this one house. When they were in that enclosure, they were observed, so their behaviors were observed, okay? And it turned out that there was a lot of fights over certain resources. So by resources, I mean mates, I mean sleeping areas, feeding stations, etc., etc., okay? And as a result of that, the scientists decided that wolves therefore must be a dominant species, okay? And as the dog is a descendant of the wolf, then they too must be tarred with that same brush, okay? And that had a massive impact on the way people were training the dogs. Everyone believed that they needed to be the alpha male, they needed to domineer the dog, they needed to be the one in control at all the time, in charge all of the time. A lot of people, even to this day, still believe that their dogs are trying to take over the household. A lot of people believe that the dogs are displaying certain behaviors because they want to be in charge, okay? It's a load of bollocks, if I'm honest with you, okay? And I'll explain that I'll explain why in a little bit to you, okay? But I want you to have a think about the Big Brother house, okay? Have a think about what happens in the Big Brother house. What makes that good TV? All right, we watch the Big Brother purely because the entertainment values, okay? Now these, at the original Abbey, I don't watch Big Brother, of course you don't, but the purpose of the Big Brother house was to obviously give the public some form of enjoyment, and the reason they choose random people from throughout the country with obviously these big personalities is because they naturally want fights. And if you do watch the Big Brother house, you'll notice that they put a minimum of resources in. So there's shortage of food, they have shortage of beds, sitting areas, etc., etc. There's always a lot of arguments, okay? But that's what the producers want, okay? They want that because that's what makes good TV, okay? But that's also what these scientists seeing within this early stages of what is now developed into obviously the dominance theory, okay? I hope that makes sense. Now, as a result of that, there was a lot of methods of training that even to this day, a lot of trainers still recommend. So certain things would be making sure you eat before your dog, make sure you walk out of a room before your dog. If your dog misbehaves, then what you should be doing is pinning your dog down to the floor. It's a load of rubbish, okay? And unfortunately, as a result of this, there's more owners getting bit by their dog, okay? Because the dog is responding out of fear, okay? You wouldn't like anyone coming and pinning you down, okay? Dogs are exactly the same. Why would they want to be pinned down? Okay, they don't understand why they're being pinned down, but yet so many people still implement this form of training when it comes to training their dogs, okay? Now, obviously, to more recent studies on wolves, and with thanks to David Attenborough and the nature programs and things like that, we're now able to get a lot closer up to wolves in actual real life situations, so in the wild rather than in captivity. And there's actually now no evidence to suggest that wolves are actually a dominant species. Okay, so wolves are very similar to us in the fact that they live in a family sort of group. Yes, the young would respect the elders, etc., as we do, but there's no evidence to suggest that wolves are a dominant species. Okay, and in fact, there's no evidence to suggest that dogs are a dominant species either, okay? And I appreciate dogs have changed a lot since domestication, obviously, from the many years ago, where they've descended from. They have changed a hell of a lot, but there is no evidence to suggest that they are a dominant species, okay? And that's something that we really need to remember, okay? That's something I really want you guys to take away from this webinar this evening, okay? Remember, our dogs aren't trying to take over the household. Our dogs aren't wanting to be in charge. They're not wanting to be the alpha male or anything like that, okay? Dogs are very similar to children, and they do things for attention, okay? They like to get our attention, okay? Dogs, when they react aggressively, are doing it for a reason, okay? Dogs don't just act aggressive, okay? They don't just do it because they wake up one day and think, oh, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with my owner. I want to be in charge of this household. They don't, that's not the reason they do it, okay? The reason that a dog would react aggressively is because there's always going to be a reason, all right? So there's always a reason why they're going to act aggressively. Okay, 9 times out of 10, it's fear. And that is certainly why those that do implement the dominance theory when it comes to training their dogs, that's why so many do end up resulting in getting bit by their dog, because their dog is reacting out of fear. Okay, it must be absolutely terrifying for them being pinned down to the floor and things like that. It must be absolutely horrible for them. Okay, and what I want you to think about is how different wolves are to say that of the common domestic dog we see today. Obviously, I know there's a wide variety of dogs, but yes, they're going to share certain similarities with the wolf, but we've got to remember they are a different species, okay? They think differently to wolves. They act differently to wolves. Like I've said, yes, similar characteristics, but they are a completely different species. And we need to start recognizing that, and we need to start training our dogs as dogs, not as wolves, okay? And if we can get into the mentality and habit of doing that, we're going to see some far better results from our dogs, okay? Now, the next slide, if you've ever attended any of my live seminars before, you'll recognize this slide that's coming up next. It's always a slide I like to put in. This is actually a picture of my ex-girlfriend. Lovely lass. Really pretty, bit hairy here and there, but crazy in bed, I tell you that for now. No, just joking. So obviously this is a picture of a gorilla. Now, we as humans have descended from gorillas, okay? although yes, we have similarities, we have similar characteristics, we are a different species. Okay, we don't raise our children like, say, a gorilla would raise their children. Okay, it's a completely different, there's two different species. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make this. Okay, that wolves, dogs, the completely different species. Yes, dogs evolved from wolves. Yes, we evolved from gorillas, but we have evolved. Okay, we are different. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, and I hope you can. I don't know what methods in the past you have tried with your dogs, if you have potentially implemented the dominance theory. And I know a lot of people would do this purely because of frustration, because they're feeling stressed, they don't know what else. There's a lot of conflicting information on the internet as well too. If you put certain things in, if you ask Google for certain things, you will get a lot of advice that will advise that you implement this dominance theory. Okay, it's not necessarily always called the dominance theory, but certain trainers will take parts out of that, if that makes any sense. Okay, so we need to try and move away from that. Now, we're in a world now where it has been proven that positive-based methods of training works. Okay, and we need to make sure that we implement that with our dogs training. All right, it shouldn't have to be a case of, when it comes to teaching our dogs something new, that it's military style, you must do this, you must do that. It shouldn't be a case that we get frustrated, that we lose our temper with our dogs. It should be fun. All right, and I hope that's something that you guys have learned throughout the isolation station as well. I hope that you can see that actually it has been fun to train your dog in a positive way as well, and that's certainly something I was trying to portray across to you in the videos that I uploaded every day on how to train your dog. All right, it should always be in a positive way, and that's what I'm going to move on to next. All right, and again, this is kind of underlying answering questions, I should say, to what a lot of you guys have been asking throughout your turbo calls on the live Q&A sessions as well too. All right, so positive-based methods of training. Okay, this was something that was introduced to the world in the 1980s by a lady called Karen Pryor, and she started using clicker training with dogs. Okay, and that's going to be something I'm talking about later on in this webinar. But she started using clicker training. She then she wrote a couple of books, and she actually changed the way the world thought about how we train our dogs in a much positive way, and people were starting to see that the positive differences that these forms of training were having on their dogs. Okay, so positive based training basically means it's kind of like a learn to earn program, or something I like to call nothing in life is free. And this is certainly something I discussed with you guys throughout the Q&A sessions. Certainly something I mentioned a lot on my videos that I post on the Pets Doing Press Facebook page as well, because this is a very, very important program. This is kind of the foundation that we should be implementing with our dogs on a day-to-day basis. All right, and everyone within the household, everyone that has any form of interaction with your dog, should be following these same rules as well too. Okay, so nothing in life is free. Basically what that means is everything should be earned. Okay, so dogs should work for absolutely everything. Now, I don't mean getting them to do the housework or washing the car, doing the dishes, going getting the monthly shop, queuing up in Asda nowadays. That's not what I mean. Okay, we have to be realistic. Getting them to work for something means getting them to sit, give a paw, lie down. So if they want something, they have to work for it. Okay, and that should be literally everything. All right, we shouldn't just be giving treats to our dogs for looking cute. We should always make them work for it. Okay, it's a great program, and it's kind of like teaching a child to say please and thank you. And it's a great a great program to help build up trust and confidence as well, which is certainly something, again, that we've been doing a lot throughout the isolation station, throughout these challenges, also the 14-day challenge as well too. The idea of these was to help build up some trust, build up some confidence with your dogs, and from the testimonials I've received from you guys, I certainly think we've achieved that as well too, which is absolutely incredible and brilliant. And obviously, most importantly, the good thing about this program is it's going to help create an everlasting bond between you and your dog, okay? Which is the most important thing, all right? We don't get dogs just to be locked outside, to be put in a crate all day. That's not the reason why we have a dog. We have a dog to welcome them as part of the family, to have that everlasting bond, okay? Now, sadly, as I've mentioned in numerous times in the past, dogs aren't on this earth as long as we would like them to be. We need to make the most of them whilst they are here. We need to make sure that throughout their life, they are happy. Now, that's certainly something you guys have definitely been implementing. So those that have been here from the beginning, when we did the 14-day challenge to the isolation station, you should be so proud of what your dogs have achieved in such a short period of time. Okay, because I can guarantee there's a lot of people that weren't part of them challenges that will be struggling now with their dog. They'll be struggling because the dog's not getting enough exercise. They're not implementing enough brain games. They're not doing any form of training with the dogs. The dogs are literally going to be climbing the walls. Okay, so by joining the isolation station, by taking part in the 14-day challenge, you have already begun creating, or should I say, expanding on that bond that you and your dog already have. Attention seeking. This is certainly a biggie that a lot of you guys have brought to my attention, and I know it's difficult, all right, when you've got a dog that is craving your attention, especially when you've been working with them all day, you've had them out for the walks, you expect them to be tired, but they are like children in that respect, okay? And the fact that they do like to get our attention. And the issue with being is, once a dog realizes by doing something that's going to get them your attention, they will repeat that behavior time and time again. Okay, so I like that picture. It's time to pay attention to me. So what we need to do is make sure that attention is always instigated by you. Now, I'm going to stress here, I'm not saying you can't love your dog. I'm not saying you can't give your dog attention. Okay, we can do all of that, but it has to be on our terms, okay? So it should always be on our terms. So say, for example, you sat watching telly on a night time, all right? And dog comes up to you and plonks a toy on your lap because they want to play with you. That should be ignored. That's not a case of trying to be horrible. It's more of a case of giving your dog some independence as well too. Dogs shouldn't be relying on us all of the time, okay? And that's certainly something we need to make sure that we start now, especially during this lockdown when we're at home with the dogs a lot more. We want to make sure that our dogs aren't as reliant on us, because when things do start to go back to normal, the dogs are really, really going to struggle with going back to the original routine, especially when they've been used to having us there every day, okay? We need to ignore all attention-seeking behaviours, okay? So going back to sitting watching the telly, dog plonks the toy on you, or dogs barking at your face, or dogs literally trying to jump up, curling in next to you. These should all be ignored, okay? We need to start ignoring attention-seeking behaviours, and there's 3 rules to remember when it comes to ignoring any attention-seeking behaviour. So any unwanted behaviour as well, okay? And those 3 rules are: do not look, do not touch, do not speak. Those that have followed me for a while will hopefully have them plastered in their heads. It's a very, very important rule. And I know it is frustrating. It's difficult at times, but if you give in to your dog, they will repeat that behavior. Okay, so say, for example, your dog's barking at you. You're doing really well, you ignore them. You've got your arms crossed, you're not looking at them, you're not speaking to them. And it goes on and on and on and on. And it gets like 30 minutes, an hour, and you think, I can't take anymore. And you finally snap. You finally give the dog some attention. What's going to happen is the dog's going to think, oh, all right then, it was worth that time of barking. I'll repeat that behavior the next time I want some attention. Okay, what you need to do is wait for the dog to stop attention seeking. So say they've spent however long trying to get your attention, whether it is barking, whether it's plonking toys on you, whether it's nudging you with the head. When they eventually give up, which they will, because they don't want to waste their energy, okay, when they do eventually give up, you can call them back to you. You could give them as much love and attention as you want to, because now it's on your terms, okay? You've instigated that attention, okay? And to repeat what I've already said, this isn't a case of trying to be horrible to our dogs. It's not a case of trying to say, oh, you can't love your dog, you can't give your dog attention. You can, okay? Of course you can. Why else would we have a dog if we're not going to give them attention? But we have to do it on our terms. And the purpose for this is to make sure that we are giving them some form of independence. We're building up their confidence levels. And especially if you've got an anxious dog, it's going to help reduce their anxiety as well too. Okay, because normally you find when you've got an anxious dog, it's normally because they are quite reliant on their owners as well too. Okay. So we have talked about this in the previous webinar that we did, but I did think it was important to go through it again, especially obviously now with the lockdown. Routine's very important, structure is very important, and I appreciate that routine is going to be slightly different to the routine that the dogs are used to, but we need to make sure that we try and stick to some form of routine as best as we possibly can, because dogs, it's proven that dogs work well to routine. Dogs work well to structure, just like we do, all right? And as I mentioned in the last webinar that I did, this has completely thrown us. Naturally, it's going to be throwing our dogs as well too, okay? By putting in place a routine, by trying to make life as I don't know, as normal as it can be, I suppose, it is going to be helping the dogs in the long run as well too, okay? So dogs are creatures of habit. They love to know what's coming next, all right? And a routine for dogs should consist of 5 things. Number 1, their feeding times. Now, obviously, you have got a lot of tips and tools that you've received from the 14-day challenge, that you've received from the isolation station, and how you can spice these feeding times up, all right? It shouldn't just be a case of getting the bowl, putting it down, letting them get on with it, all right? First of all, nothing in life is free. They need to be working for it, okay? Second, I would be using this time to implement some brain games. So whether that's doing some scatter feeds in the garden, whether that's making use of Kongs, whether that's going back to one of the little challenges that we had, where we had like the activity games, you know, we set up the giant brain game for the dog. All of these are great ways to mentally stimulate your dog, not just now during the lockdown, but obviously also in the future as well too, okay? Obviously the daily exercise, which again, I appreciate we are restricted at the moment, but following on from the last webinar, we need to make sure that when we are out, we are making those walks an adventure walk. We're trying to burn as much energy off in that short period of time as we possibly can. And try and keep to the similar sort of time as well too. So if there's certain times during the day where you would normally be walking your dog, try and stick to them sort of times as well, because when life goes back to normal, or as normal as life's going to be, it's just going to be easier to adapt your dog back into that, okay? Obviously 3 to 4 training sessions per day. This is certainly something that your dogs have benefited from the last 14 days, the last month, depending on how long you've been within these challenges for. But this is something that we should be continuing as well, okay? So don't just think, right, the isolation station's done and dusted. That was great fun. You need to make sure that you're continuing with this training, okay? So yesterday I posted a picture of all the things that we went through within the isolation station, just for you guys to be able to refer back to them. If anyone is wanting to know how to teach their dog anything new, you can always ask me questions on the Facebook group, so the Pets to Impress Facebook group, and I'll upload a video for you. The idea is we always want to keep our dogs' minds going, okay? Like I say, not just during lockdown, but also after that as well too, because it's very, very important. And don't forget also to incorporate some form of brain game in there as well too, okay? And remember what I've already said in the past, a 10-minute training session or a 10-minute brain game is equivalent to a 45-minute walk for your dog, okay? And these sessions per day don't need to be a huge amount of time. You want to be spending 10 to 15 minutes each time, okay? So with my little dance routine that I did with Buddy on Friday and the kids, that was obviously sprung on me by you guys at the very last moment, but I did have a lot of fun doing it. But what I had to do was make sure that I didn't burn Buddy out. So I was bringing him out, doing a couple of training sessions with him, spending about 10 minutes, and then letting him have a rest, and then going back again later on, because what I didn't want to do was overtire him out and then not be able to do the dance routine. I tell you what, yeah, I mean, I definitely pushed him more than I would normally have pushed him throughout the day. And I hope you agree, he did do really, really well on his little dance routine, bless him. And we had a lot of fun doing it as well. The kids love doing anything like that. They love getting involved. And certainly if you've got kids at home too, you should be getting them involved with the training as well. The next thing is playtime. So this is yours and your dog's time. This is where you're going to engage in some playtime with your dog. So with one of the toys, I would always advise having a special toy, something that you keep to one side, okay? But remember, of course, nothing in life is free. When that toy comes out, if the dog wants to play with it, they have to work for it, okay? So an example would be, let's just say we're going to use this, one of the play sessions out on our walks. We're throwing a ball, for example, okay? We'd have the ball. Dog has to sit first before you throw the ball. Once you throw the ball, that's the reward, okay? The dog gets the chase after the ball, okay? So they've done something to get that reward of the ball being thrown, okay? Once they've done that, they bring it back to you, then have a treat ready. Ask them to drop it. They've done something, then they can get that reward, okay? So that's your Nothing in Life is Free, the Learn to Earn program, okay? It's really, really important. I can't stress how important it is that we implement this on our dog's day-to-day life, okay? And then finally, most importantly, is quiet time, okay? Dogs need quiet time. Going back to what I said when I was doing Buddy's little dance session, it was very, very important that I still made sure he was getting some downtime, because like I've said, a 10-minute training session is equivalent to a 45-minute on-lead walk. It's very, very important that he does get that he did get that time just to recuperate, okay? And I certainly think from obviously watching the posts that you guys have been putting in the isolation station, I'm sure you'll agree your dogs have been really, really tired as a result of the training that we've been doing with the dogs. So it's very, very important, especially if you're going to continue with this training, that you are giving your dog enough time to actually rest and rebuild those energy levels back up as well, okay? So training something new, all right? This is, obviously you have learned a lot over the last month, and hopefully you'll continue and you'll go back to things. You might start trying to teach your dog new things, which I would always advise too, okay? Because dogs love to learn, all right? And they love to please. And this is a great way to spend some time and give your dog attention in a more positive way, because trust us, your dog will get more out of a training session than they will cuddling up to you on the settee. All right, the cuddling up to you on the settee is more for us. We love that, okay? We love that. We love when the dog's snuggling on a night time and in bed, okay? But from the dog's point of view, they've got more benefits and they'll be a lot happier having a training session, okay? But there's two things that we need to think about whenever it comes to training something new. Number one is the lure, okay? So luring them into position, okay? So if we think of something basic, such as the sit command, okay? You would put the treat to the dog's nose, slowly raise it up. As the dog head follows the treat and lifts up, the bum will automatically go down, okay? So by luring the dog, you're getting them into the position that you want them to be in. And most importantly, one thing that we really need to be thinking about when it comes to training something new is the time element. Okay, so when it comes to marking a desired behavior, you've actually only got 3 seconds to do so. So you've got to make sure that you're ready with your treat. Okay, there's no point asking the dog to do something and then saying, oh, well done, that's such a good boy. Come on, let's go to the kitchen. I've left your treats in there. Let's go get them. By the time you've got to the kitchen and give the dog the treat, you then may as well just be treating them for being cute. They're not going to be able to build the association of what they've just done to the fact they've got a treat. In order to mark that desired behavior, you've got to reward it there and then, okay? And that's going to take me on to clicker training. Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you guys about clicker training, it's a little bit more advanced, and it's a great way to train your dog anything new, okay? From basics to more advanced things as well. And this is certainly something that I'm planning on using with anyone that's wanting to continue and go on to the next stage, which I'll talk to you about later on at the end of this webinar. Right, quick drink break. So what is a clicker? The picture that you can see on the screen, that's exactly what a clicker is. They do come in a few different varieties. This is one I've always used. Basically, it's a little box, and when you click it, it makes a sound. Okay, and that sounds a unique sound, okay, and it always sounds the same, so therefore it makes training easier, especially if you've got like a big household, or even if there's just more than one of you. So if there's 2 of you getting involved with the dog's training, naturally the way you reward your dog, the way you speak, it's going to be different to say that of your partner or that of your kids. The good thing about a clicker is with that unique sound, that's going to mark that desired behavior there and then. Okay, so that's kind of taking away the good boy or the good girl. Okay, and it does make training a lot easier. Okay, and it can be delivered obviously in a split second to reward that exact behavior or movement. And the benefit I like about clicker training is it's certainly something I've been doing a lot with Buddy, and actually it was this was something I did with Buddy as part of his training session on Friday when we were building up to that dance routine. It was I was delivering a training called Shaping a Behavior. So if you remember back to one of the challenges, the bowling with your dogs, where we had the toilet rolls and the dog had to break through the toilet rolls, I talked to you then briefly about the shaping of behaviors, okay, and how you can shape a dog's behavior to get that end result. So what that means is, say you wanted your dog to do something, I don't know, let's just say something like roll over, okay? To get that desired result, the result of the dog rolling over, you would mark the behavior leading up to that, okay? So you may start by rewarding the dog or clicking the dog as he lies on his side, okay? You would do that a few times, and then once the dog gets used to that, you would then withhold the click. The dog then, out of frustration, and trying to please and trying to get the treat, will then move over, okay, maybe onto his back, to which you would click him again. So you're marking that desired behavior as and when it happens, okay? So it's a great way, especially, I'd say, as humans, our timing's pretty shit, okay? We're normally out with our timing completely, and we're not marking that desired behavior, which is why so many people struggle when it comes to training their dogs. This will help, okay? By having a clicker as part of your dog's training, this will massively help when it comes to training your dog anything new. Now, I did mention during the isolation station something that happened to me, and I'm going to quickly mention it again because, as I've said, this webinar will be available to others as well. But a number of years ago, I attended a seminar down south with a friend of mine who's also a behaviourist, and it was actually delivered by Hills Pet Food, but there was a part of it regarding canine behaviour, which is what I was interested in. And it was a behaviourist from down south, and she was talking about the benefits of clicker training and shaping of behaviours and things like that. And she had her adorable little rescue dogs with her, and she asked the audience, right, I want you to have a think realistically what I can get my dog to do, something different. I want you to think of something. So basically what we did was we all thought of, right, we want the dog to get onto this chair. So it was like just your standard dining room table chairs. We want the dog to go onto the chair, put his paws over the top, and then lift his, and then lean on the top of the chair, if that makes sense. Okay, so if you imagine you've got the chair, he would go onto the seat part, paws would go over, head would lean down. Okay, and I expected, and I'll be honest, I expected at this time it was going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, but she actually got the dog to do that just with the clicker without having any form of vocal commands or anything, just with the clicker. She managed to achieve that in just a couple of minutes, okay? And I was absolutely blown away. I was absolutely gobsmacked. And this is something I did with Buddy on Friday, not something I used as part of his, Thursday night, sorry, not something I used as part of his dance routine. But I was, like I said, I've been working a lot with this type of training, the shaping of the behaviours, and I wanted Buddy to rest his head on a cushion, and he did. He did it. He picked it up so quickly. He did it in a couple of seconds. Even the wife was amazed. She was like, "Wow, he's so intelligent." And dogs, we don't give our dogs the credit that they deserve. They are very, very intelligent. They're a very intelligent species, all right? The difficulty we have is the language barrier. Obviously, dogs don't speak our language. They don't know what we want them to do. So we need to try and make that a little bit easier. And with the use of a clicker, you can certainly do that. So how to train your dog to the clicker? It's so simple. Obviously, first things first, you need to go and get yourself a clicker. And the easiest way to train them is to click, treat, repeat. So get some high value treats, have your dog sat in front of you, click the clicker, give them a treat, and then repeat it. Spend a couple of times throughout the day doing that. Spend around about a minute or two each time, okay? And do it over the space of a couple of days. The idea is what we're doing is we're building up a positive association to the sound of the click, okay? So the dog starts to associate, right, when I hear that, I'm going to get this. It's very similar to whistle training, okay? You would do exactly the same when it comes to whistle training your dog as well. Now, we also need to look at the rules of clicker training, because I have worked with a lot of owners over the past. It's not something, clicker training is not something that we teach within our puppy classes. The reason being is because obviously it's a big group, and if a lot of owners are clicking here, there and everywhere, it's going to confuse the dogs, okay? But I have recommended it a lot and worked with a lot of dogs on a one-to-one basis with this. So the rules, if you click, you must treat, even if clicked by accident or in the wrong place. In order to build up that association, the dog needs to know that every time they hear that click, they're going to get a treat, okay? We are human, we make mistakes, but we just need to make sure that we always treat them if we click. Don't use the clicker for anything other than to mark the desired behavior. I'll always remember a couple I was working with a number of years ago, and I was teaching them clicker training, and I went back as a follow-up, and I remember the dog was in another room, and they're like, watch this, and they clicked, and obviously the dog came running because the dog heard the click and wanted his treat, but that was a big mistake, because that dog could have been doing anything in the other room. He could have been chewing the skirting boards. He's heard the click and thought, oh, all right then, whatever I'm doing, this is a good thing. I'll go and get me treat, And then I'll come back to that thing that got me the treat in the first time, okay? So in the first place. So you've got to make sure that when you're using the clicker, you're only using it to mark the desired behavior. This is not a tool to use for recall, okay? Your whistle would be more for recall. This is more when it comes to teaching your dog new things. Only click the desired behavior once, so multiple clicking will only confuse your dog. Again, this is certainly an issue that I've dealt with a lot of owners, where dog will do something, click, 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 click. Dog's thinking, what the hell's going on? So you've got to make sure that you only click it once. Don't try and teach multiple new behaviors in one session. So again, and that's why when we did the online challenges, so 14-day challenge isolation station, that's why I didn't give you too much to do in one day. All right, yes, I know in the isolation we had, in certain days we had 2, but I didn't want to give you like 5 or 6 things to do in one day, because one, that would frustrate your dog. It would probably be too much for your dog as well too. All right, you want to keep sessions short and sweet. As I've just said, there you go. Keep sessions short and sweet. Have fun. All right, that is the purpose of training your dog. Always make sure that you are going to have fun with your dog, okay? Even if you're feeling stressed, you're feeling fraught, then don't train them, all right? You've got to have fun. So if you are feeling stressed, if you've had a busy day, obviously I don't know how busy your days are at the moment. If you're working from home, if you're stressed, if you are out working and then coming home, if you're stressed, that's going to portray onto your dog, and that's not going to make the session fun, all right? You've got to make it fun, because by making it fun, the dog's going to want to learn. The dog's going to want to get involved, okay? And that's the whole purpose of any form of training, positive-based methods of training. It should always be fun. It should always be about enjoying the time that you have with your dog. And if they don't pick things up straight away, do you know what? It doesn't matter. Go back to it at a later date. It's not the end of the world. And don't give a behavior a cue word until you're convinced that your dog will do it straight away. So if we go to something simple such as the sit, all right, I appreciate you guys are a lot more advanced from there, but just to keep it simple, we'll go onto the sit, okay? So what we would do is we would practice a lot with the sit, okay? So we'd use that lure to begin with, lure them into the position. Once the bum's down, we'd click them, okay? And then we'd give them the treat for doing so, all right? And we would repeat that and repeat and repeat and repeat until we know that the dog will reliably do it. Once the dog will reliably do it, that's when we can start to introduce the command word. Trust us, your dog will be paying more attention to the clicker than anything else at the beginning stages, okay? Once your dog knows that behavior, so sit, then you don't necessarily need to use the clicker in the future with it. You can then start incorporating your vocal commands, your hand signals, etc., etc. The clicker training's more to teach that behavior, to teach a new behavior. It's not something that you would use on that particular behavior way into the future, if that makes sense. And obviously, here's my veterinary nurse head on. As you are using a lot of food treats, reduce your dog's normal meals, okay? We don't want any fat dogs, especially coming out of isolation. We all might be little Humpty Dumptys, but we certainly need to make sure that our dogs are still kept nice and trim. I say that after I'm talking about Humpty Dumptys, the amount of eggs I've eaten during lockdown. I'm actually on my last one now, so I actually bought a load of eggs when they were on sale, and then I got some eggs for Easter because I'm still a big kid. And then after Easter, they were all like 50 pence in Asda and things like that. So I was like, right, stock them up. But sadly, I'm on my last one now. But it does only come once a year, so you have to make the most of it. That's what I'm going with anyway. Right. So now that we've talked about clicker training, we're now going to move on and talk about how to read your dog's body language. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, this is certainly something very, very important that all owners should be aware of, okay? Even if your dog's never shown any signs of aggression or anything like that, it's certainly something that we should be aware of, okay? Because we should be able to read our dog's body language, but we should also be able to read other dogs' body language as well, because by doing that, it's going to keep you safe. It's going to keep your dog safe as well too. All right, so we're going to start by looking at the ladder of aggression. All right, and so how a dog reacts to any form of stress or a threat can be represented as a series of ascending steps on a ladder. Okay, so if you have a look at this diagram on this slide there, okay, look at the lower part of the ladder, okay, the bit in green, so the yawning, blinking, nose licking, turning head away, turning body away, etc., etc. Okay, Those will be classed as early warning signals. So if a dog's in a situation where they're feeling a little bit stressed or they're not quite happy, they may display some of those behaviors, okay? It's not a generic list, so it's not like every dog will do this, then they'll do that, then they'll do that, okay? These are just certain examples for you, okay? But at the beginning stages, when a dog feels stressed, those are the most obvious behaviors that they will display. Yawning, nose licking are the most obvious ones to look out for, okay? But when it comes to reading dogs' body language, you also need to look at the scenario as well too, okay? So don't just look at, don't just say, oh my God, my dog's yawning, he's clearly stressed. It could just be that he's tired. If he's licking his lips, it could just be that he's had something to eat as well too, all right? So always look at the full scenario, look at the full situation, all right? So going back to this ladder, if say these early warning signals are ignored, which 9 times out of 10 they are, the dog will be forced to escalate up that ladder. They will then try and display another behavior, politely trying to say, bugger off, leave me alone. If those are ignored, then the dog will escalate again and again and again until they get to a stage on that ladder where they display a behavior that gets them the result. Now, sadly, 9 times out of 10, that's normally the growling, the snapping, or the biting. And that's when owners tend to get in touch with me, because those will be classed as behaviors that are unacceptable. And rightly so, they are unacceptable. It's not safe to live with a dog that's going to display these behaviors, okay? But what we've got to remember is, chances are, well, they will have done, the dog will have displayed early warning signals prior to them stages, okay? The issue you've got with the ladder of aggression is, once a dog realizes that a behavior on that ladder works, they will use it time and time again. Okay, so you need to make sure that you're able to read these early warning signals. All right, now we're going to have a look at certain behaviors or certain body language signals that dogs will display when they're in certain situations. So if we look at a relaxed sort of approach, okay, as you can see, these aren't the best diagrams, they are just drawn, but I hope you'll agree that this is quite a relaxed looking dog. So the ears are up, head's high, mouth's open slightly, tongue's exposed, they've got a loose stance, and the tail's down and relaxed, okay? So that would be quite a relaxed dog, okay? A dog that's quite happy, a dog that you could probably happily go up to approach, okay? If we look at this dog would be classed as an alert dog. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this dog's going to be aggressive. It doesn't necessarily mean that this dog's going to turn on you anytime. Chances are the dog's just checking things out, okay? So where you would see this would be, say, if you're on the field or at the beach and there's a group of dogs playing and you've got your dog at a distance. Your dog might stop and look. He's kind of weighing things up, thinking, do I stay here with my human? Or do I just bugger off and go and have fun with them dogs? It's more assessing the situation and making a decision, so to speak, all right? We then look at this one, okay? So as you can see, as I said, the diagrams aren't great, but I'm sure you'll agree that this dog definitely doesn't look happy. This dog you would not want to approach, okay? If you see any dog displaying any of these behaviors, back away calmly and probably quickly, otherwise this dog will have you, all right? If you see this dog reacting like this around your dog, get your dog out of that situation as quickly as you possibly can, all right? Look at the behaviors that this dog's displaying. So it's very, very stiff, its mouth's open, the corner of its mouth showing, its teeth showing, it's very stiff on its stance there, the forehead may be showing wrinkles as well, the ears will be forward, the hackles may be raised. This is a dog that is going to attack if it's pushed any further, okay? We then need to look at fearful and aggression, okay? So if you look at the difference in this behavior, although it does have similarities to the third diagram with the aggressive diagram, the dog is a little bit more fearful in this one, and you can see that by the lowered body, okay? The tail's tucked under, okay? Will this dog bite? There's a very good chance it will if you continue, all right? If this dog is worried, there's a very good chance that this dog will still bite. So I would say if you come across a dog like this that's displaying behaviors like this, or if your dog's displaying behaviors like that, the best thing you can do is back away and give them some space. We'll look at a stressed dog. Okay, so stressed dogs may be sweating through the pads, they might be panting a lot, the pupils might be dilated, the ears might be back, they'll have a lowered body, tail could be down as well too, all right? This is a stressed dog, a dog that's not happy in a certain situation. Can this dog bite? Yes, it can. It's important to remember that any dog can bite at any time if they're in a situation where they're feeling stressed, where they're feeling threatened, okay? This is more of a nervous sort of dog. But nervous dogs, I find, especially from working in practice, are normally the worst ones to deal with. Then we've got the fearful dog. Okay, so again, quite similar to the stress sort of dog. Okay, behaviors are the behaviors that the dog's displaying are quite similar, but this one you can see he's got a raised paw. All right, that's also another warning signal, which is normally seen quite lower on in the ladder of aggression. All right, the dog might lift its paw and look away from you, and you might see the corner of the dog's eye. It's something that you call whale eye, so where you see a lot of the white of the eye, but the dog's just kind of looking at you out the corner of the eye as if to say, like, what's this person doing? This dog is frightened, and there's a very good chance that this dog could react as well too. All right, it's really, really important that you do start to recognize these little signals that your dogs are displaying, because this is going to keep you safe, but it's also going to ultimately keep your dog happy as well too. Extreme fear. All right, dog's on its back, tail's tucked under, it may wet a little bit. Okay, again, we need to assess the full situation, because if your dog's on its back and it's wagging its tail and then there's wee splurting here, there and everywhere, chances are that just might be a happy one. So if you've got visitors coming in, maybe yes, okay, maybe not now, or you've come in from work and your dog does this, that could just be a dog that's quite excited and happy, and he's used to having a good friendly belly rub. All right, again, you've got to assess the full situation. You've got to look at the full situation to assess whether that dog is happy, whether that dog's sad, whether that dog's frightened, etc., etc. Again, this is another dog that could bite. And finally, certainly something we see a lot of in the daycare is the play bow. Okay, so this is a very friendly dog, a dog that just wants to play. Basically, what this dog's going to do is, this form of behavior is kind of an invite to play. So he'll bounce around and keep going on his front legs, bum up, tail wagging, as if to say, come on, play, play, play. Now, it's very, very difficult to distinguish this from a dog that also may react. Okay, so a dog that might react might get into that behavior but then freeze. Okay, that dog also may potentially react. I wouldn't say it's as high a risk as your extreme fear or your stress dog or your fearful dog or the aggressive dog, but there is still a chance. Okay, he's freezing, weighing up the situation, weighing up what's going to come next, what he's going to do. Okay, the play bow is more normally the bouncing in and out, potentially barking, tail wagging, bouncing from side to side. Okay, so those are the more obvious types of behaviors that you can see with your dog, with other dogs. And as I've mentioned, it's so important that as an owner we are able to recognize these. Now, this is certainly something that we cover in our puppy classes. It's certainly something I talk a lot about when I do one-to-one when I do one-to-one appointments with my clients as well too, because I do think it's so important. Now, a lot of trainers don't train this. But I think this should, because there's so many people that end up getting bit by the dog. There's so many dogs that end up displaying aggressive behaviors over certain things. So whether that's resource guarding, whether that's towards strangers, towards other dogs, we need to be able to recognize our dog's body language so that we can get them out of that situation as well. So if our dog is in a situation where they're feeling stressed, we can get them away. Or if your dog does approach another dog and you can see that other dog's stressed, we can get our dog away. All right, it's keeping everyone safe. It's reducing the amount of bites. It's also going to reduce how many dogs end up in shelter as well, something I'm very, very passionate about. I hate how many dogs end up in shelter due to a lot of the time no fault of their own. Okay, so we have kind of covered everything I said that we were going to cover within the webinar this evening. So we talked obviously about the dominance theory, why we shouldn't use it, how it inflicts fear rather than having a dog that wants to do something. So the dominance theory will, if I'm honest with you, will work, but your dog will do things out of fear rather than out of enjoyment, rather than out of the fact that they want to do it. Okay, we then talked about positive based methods of training, so nothing in life is free. We talked about your timing, we talked about attention seeking behaviors, we talked about clicker training, and then we talked about body language. All right, and I'm hoping that I've covered a lot of the issues and concerns that you guys have had throughout the turbo calls that we did during the isolation station, throughout the Q&A sessions as well. I know a few of you have sent me some messages on Facebook and via email as well too, with certain concerns. So hopefully I have addressed as much of them information, as much as them concerns that I possibly can. So now I want to have a look at what we've learned from the isolation station, because as I mentioned on Thursday and throughout the whole 2 weeks, actually, you guys should be so proud of yourself. Your dog have done so well. I always loved when I put the video up, first thing in the morning, amount of people that had commented saying, yeah, that's not going to happen. Dog's not going to do that. Good luck. But you know what? Your dog, yous went away, yous came back later on, posted your video, and your dogs did it. And it was amazing to see. It was amazing to see how much you'd achieved with your dog in such a short period of time. Okay, so obviously throughout the isolation station, we did teach our dog a lot of new tricks. We also taught some brain games, following on from the 14-day challenge as well. And I hope you'll agree that it has been good fun. Obviously, it was very different to the 14-day challenge, and the fact that we put you guys in teams, which did make us work harder. And I definitely think that we had a lot of competitors within the group, but it was great fun to watch you guys and to watch your dogs learn as well. And I hope you'll agree that you have had fun as well, not just your dogs. So by implementing all these new tricks and these brain games, I'm sure you'll agree, we've had a much calmer and more focused dog. I've had a lot of people message me saying how impressed they are and how amazed they are with the difference that their dog has had, the difference that they've seen in their dog within such a short period of time. It's amazing, really. It's amazing. But that's always been my purpose when it comes to talking to people, when I do videos on the Facebook group, videos in the 14-day challenge with you guys, when I do one-to-one training sessions with people, when we run puppy classes. By implementing any form of training, by implementing brain games, you are naturally going to have a calmer and more focused dog and a more confident dog as well. And what we've got to remember is, at this moment in time, our dogs are on one bit of exercise per day. Okay, we're restricted to how much we can go out with our dogs. All right, you're lucky if you live in a household where there's like 5 of you and you can all take the dog out. But 9 times out of 10, the dogs are working on less exercise. But, and I'm sure you guys will agree, how tired have your dogs been on a night time throughout the day? They've been incredibly tired with less exercise. And that's because we've been implementing these new forms of training. All right, I always say a tired dog is a happy dog, all right? Because I always try and make sure that on a nighttime, Buddy's absolutely, well, not necessarily absolutely shattered, but I make sure that he's chilled, that he's content. I do that with exercise, by making his walks adventure walks. I do that by implementing tricks. I do that by implementing brain games with him. I don't need to spend a huge amount of time. I definitely don't need to spend a huge amount of time. I'm sure you'll agree with me. You don't need to be spending a huge amount of time with your dog throughout the day on these things to tire them out. All right, there's so many benefits to teaching your dog new tricks. There's so many benefits to implementing brain games, because dogs just sadly aren't getting enough mental stimulation. All right, I think most owners would agree, albeit not everyone does follow the rules of taking your dog for a walk every single day, but not many people understand and appreciate the importance of mental stimulation. I'm hoping you guys have changed with that now, and I hope you guys can start to see the benefits that mental stimulation can be having on your dog. That's certainly why at daycare we do implement a lot of training sessions with the dog, why we do adventure walks with the dogs, because it's so valuable for the dogs. Okay, and if you've got a happier dog, that's going to result in a happier you. If you've got a dog that's climbing the walls, a dog that's behaving problematically, that's going to cause stress for you. That's ultimately going to have an effect on the relationship that you have with your dog as well. Okay, so hopefully, again, finally, what you've learned from the isolation station is the importance of quality time with your dog. The more you put in, the more you get out of it. Okay, and that's certainly something I've learned a lot with Buddy as well. So I work a lot in a normal situation. I do work a lot of hours. Buddy spends a lot of the time at the daycare centre. Monday, Tuesdays at home with the wife and kids. And I've thoroughly enjoyed having this time to spend with him. I've thoroughly enjoyed having the time to spend with the kids as well too. And it's certainly something that I'm going to be taking away from this negative experience, I guess, of the lockdown and things like that. I'm certainly going to be taking a positive away with it. Okay, so guys, the exciting thing, if you loved the isolation challenge, you're going to love what's coming next. Okay, so we're going to be offering a brand new service, a brand new program. Initially, obviously, it's going to be available to you guys because it's you are the first to hear about it. But from tomorrow, I will be sharing this webinar with those guys that took part of with within the 14-day challenge. I'll also be sharing it with the group as well too on the Pets to Impress Facebook page. So what do we have to offer for you guys next? I hope you're going to enjoy this. I have tried to listen to what you guys have said to me throughout your table calls, on the Facebook, on the within the isolation station, on the live Q&A sessions. I also want to be able to incorporate what we've already learned and move forward. Okay, so here we go. The next thing that we're going to be offering, the next online course, is Dancing with Dogs. And I plan to dance our way throughout the lockdown. We don't call ourselves sand dancers for a reason. So that's going to be the next challenge that I'm going to make available, okay? And I'm going to talk you through what you're going to get within that, all right? Now, there's going to be certain things that you might think, oh, well, we've already had access to that within the isolation station, but bearing in mind, I am opening this particular service up to other people as well too. And this is certainly something I have plans for in the future after lockdown as well too. So it's not just during lockdown, okay? This is something I have big plans for once things go back to normal. I will make you aware of those things at a later date. Certainly if you're part of the Dancing with Dogs challenge, you will be made aware of them very, very quickly, okay? So what we're going to get with this is going to be a 4-week course, okay, to help keep your housebound hound sane, okay? The idea is, hopefully at the end of this, then hopefully things will start to go back to normal. That's why I decided to do a 4-week course for it rather than just a 2-week course, okay? You're then obviously going to get a PDF copy for each lesson. So this is going to be a little bit different to what you guys receive from the isolation station. So at the end of the 4 weeks, you're going to have PDF copies of every single lesson that we've gone through so that you can refer back to them at a later date. I'm hoping it's going to kind of make some form of like little training guide for you guys to be able to work with, okay? You'll then obviously again get a full PDF copy of the Pets to Impress training guide. You guys have already had that. Like I said, this will be made available to others. Full PDF copy of the Dog Owner Self-Isolation Survival Guide by Dominic Hodgson. Now, this was shared in the isolation station at the very beginning. If you haven't read it, I would certainly advise reading it. It's a really good read. I've read it. It's by a very good friend of mine, Dominic Hodgson. What I would ask though is if you have read it, please can you leave a review on Amazon for him. He would really, really appreciate this because he has made this available free of charge for you guys, okay? Something new, a full PDF copy of How to Socialise Your Puppy During Lockdown, which is by Carol Clark. She is the doggy doctor in Northern Ireland. A lovely lady, and it's a great little book to read as well too. So again, you're going to have free access to that. But what I would say is please can you leave a review for Carol as well on Amazon. She would really appreciate that. Obviously, we're going to be implementing new ideas to help your dog now and in the future. New ideas to keep your dog focused on you at all times. New ideas to build further trust and confidence. So this is definitely going to be a continuation from the isolation station. It's going to run a bit differently, okay? I want to keep the challenges different to try and keep them fun and engaging and exciting for you guys. So it won't be like it was in the 14-day challenge. It won't be like it was in the isolation station. It will be run slightly different, okay? But the idea is, obviously, you have already learned a lot in the isolation station and in the 14-day challenge. I want to now give you the next level, okay? I really, really want to push you and your dogs to get the very best out of your dog that you possibly can, all right? And the reason I decided to go with the Dancing with Dogs is there's so many people out there that are offering online courses for like basics and things like that. And yes, don't get me wrong, that's certainly something that we are looking at doing because I've got a lot of people that have just got puppies that are getting in touch, wanting to know how they can train the dog. So that is something that we're going to be doing. But this is going to be the next level. This is something different, something fun, something exciting, certainly something that you can have a lot of fun with as well as your dog can too. Now, obviously, with this, especially if you've got an anxious dog, this is going to be a great little course to help reduce anxiety as well. Obviously, you'll still get your first-hand support from me. You guys within the isolation station have had a lot more time from me, obviously with your turbo calls, with your live Q&A sessions. I've taken myself kind of away from the Pets to Impress Facebook page and put more of my efforts in with you guys, because you are the guys that I really want to help. You are the guys that are doing things with your dogs. You are the ones that are making a difference with your dogs. And I hope you'll agree the dogs have just done incredible. And hopefully they'll continue to do incredible as well. You'll still get your 2 live Q&A sessions each week from myself. Now, this is going to be, there will be a Facebook page for this, but I've also had a lot of people recently getting in touch saying, oh, we would love to have gotten involved with the challenges, but we're not on Facebook. So this will also be an email course as well. So everything that we discuss within the Facebook group, you will also get as an email as well too. Okay, so you'll get your emails, and with the PDFs, there'll also be a link for the video on there as well. And then there'll also be everything that you need on the Facebook group as well. So the only difference, I guess, is anyone that's part of the emailing group won't be able to have access to the live Q&A sessions. But if they have any questions, they can email me at any time and I'll get back to them. Again, you'll get your 2 turbo calls. Now, I know a couple of you guys have saved some of your turbo calls from the isolation station to use when things get back to normal. Again, you can build up as many as you want, and we can have, if you do end up building them up, remember each turbo call is around about 15 minutes. So if you build them up, we can actually have a sit-down consultation if you wanted to as well too, via a FaceTime, so via Zoom or something like that. So if you were wanting to save them up, you're more than welcome to. And then when things do go back to normal, if there's certain issues that you face in normal times, we'll say, we can certainly sit down and look at ways of addressing those as well too. And then there will be an end of course competition and a big prize for the winner. But like I say, things will be running ever so slightly different in this course. It will still be exciting. It will still be fun. You are going to learn a lot within this course. All right, that's why I've done it over 4 weeks, because there's so much involved with dancing with dogs. Obviously, I want to focus on the clicker training as well too. So if you haven't got a clicker and you want to get involved with this, I would advise getting a clicker. You don't necessarily need a clicker, but I would advise getting a clicker. It will help shape those behaviors a lot quicker. Okay. And this was just something fun I did. Pets to Impress has got talent. I'm clearly not very technical minded. I didn't have a clue how to blend that in, so I just put the logo over the top, but never mind, you get the idea. That's what we're aiming for. Pets to Impress has got talent. So what benefits will this course have for you and your dog? Obviously, it's going to continue to keep lockdown fun and entertaining. I'm sure you'll agree that you have already had a lot of fun. I know a lot of people have already said, oh, the dogs are missing learning the new things. A lot of people have been sending us messages, so thank you so much for that. But this is a great little course to help continue with lockdown. Hopefully, once this course is finished, things will be starting to slowly get back to some form of normality. Okay, hopefully the daycare centre will be open, but anyone that's part of this course, there will be something after this, okay, which I will make aware to you closer to the end of the course. All right, so I do have a plan of action where I want to take this. All right, but you'll only get to know that if you are within the group. Obviously, it's going to help keep your dog mentally stimulated and happy. Going to help keep your dog's focus on you when he's off lead as well too, all right? And that's a biggie, all right? A lot of people do struggle with their dogs off lead, all right? Not just now, but in normal circumstances as well. This will really help, okay? Because by teaching your dog these new things with regards to dancing, your dog's going to have a lot more focus on you, okay? And that's a very, very important tool to be able to have with your dog, to have a dog that's focused on you at all times, all right? Rather than focused on the squirrel that's climbing the tree, or the other dogs over there, or that old lady that's handing out treats willy-nilly to every dog that comes her way, all right? It's very, very important that we have a dog that is focused on us, especially when they're off lead. Also with this, it will help encourage your dog to walk alongside you on a loose lead, all right? I know a lot of you guys have been doing really, really well with the loose lead walking training, especially with the little bonus videos that I shared with you guys, but you will be learning a lot more as well on that as well. So this was just some of the testimonials that you guys had. I just shortened them down a little bit. Thank you so much to each and every one of you that did take the time to send over a testimonial. It was really, really appreciated, and I'm over the moon with how much fun you guys have had. That was the whole purpose of it, to make sure that your dogs don't suffer as a result of the lockdown. I do feel that after this, there's going to be a lot of dogs that will have developed behavioural problems, that will have developed training issues. I don't feel like your dogs are going to be like that anymore. I feel like your dogs are now kind of at the next level, all right? And I hope you can continue with me onto the next level as well too, okay? So Dancing with Dogs, get you and your dogs through lockdown with this ultimate fun package. Okay, so we will have an early bird discount on this. As I've said, this is a 4-week course as opposed to your 2-week course. Okay, so the early bird will end on Wednesday the 6th. The 3rd today. Yeah, Wednesday the 6th. Okay, so the early bird special will be $34.99. That's available till Wednesday the 6th, and then it's going to go up to $59.99. So if you are wanting to get involved, I would definitely recommend booking on the early bird special. Okay, that is the link for how you can do it. This will be made available to you guys later on this evening. I will share it in the Facebook group. There will be emails going along as well too, because this webinar will be shared with everyone, so you will have access to it as well too. You'll definitely have access way before Wednesday. So that is our new and exciting thing that we have planned. Now over to you guys. Do you guys have any questions for me? Leave the edits to your staff. Yes, you're right there, Abby. Leave the edits to your staff. The two Abbies are very good at editing things for me. They know that I'm not very good at it. Sounds great. Good. Does anyone have any questions? Not necessarily just on what we've discussed tonight. Any questions at all in general? I'm just having a little read of some of the other messages. Nala barks at me 7:30 every morning till I get out of bed and wake up. But the second she hears me, she's quiet and will stay quiet for hours. She just wants me awake. What's her logic? It could just be that it's an attention-seeking behaviour, Abby. It could also be that she actually wants you to do some training with her because she's been so used to doing these little training sessions with her. It could just be that she's enjoyed that company so much and enjoyed these little training sessions so much. So that could be one of the reasons why she's doing that. But dogs are creatures of habit, as I've already said. They respond well to routine and structure. She's used to you getting up early, not necessarily maybe in normal circumstances, depending on your shift at work, I guess. But certainly now, if that's the time you've been getting up with her, then that's her routine. Hope that makes sense. So am I right in thinking these skills will be transferable? Absolutely, yeah, definitely. So these skills will certainly be transferable. Hopefully by now you have already started to see, like I've mentioned, the difference that the isolation station has had on your dogs as well too, all right? There's been a massive difference there. And this is going to be the next level. This is certainly going to be the next level on top of that, all right? And it's going to be really, really fun. I'm really excited with it. I'm actually going to be getting involved with you guys on this one a lot more with Buddy as well too. Following on from how much fun, I'll not lie, how much fun I had during our little dance session that we did the other day. Should I treat Monty in a sit if he keeps one paw up? I think this is a nervous action. Potentially it could be, but it could also be so dogs are very good at responding to like routines. So like if they know, right, I sit and then I give a paw, then I get a treat, it could just be kind of incorporating the two together. Again, look at the scenario. If he's just sitting and he's lifting his paw, but there's nothing else really going on around him, then chances are he's just doing it. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a nervous behavior or a stress signal to say, bugger off, leave me alone. I would just say that it's more of him trying to incorporate them two behaviors together, if that makes sense. So the idea is so he just knows that in the past he's given a paw, he gets a treat for doing so. All right, so now he just thinks, why waste time? I may as well just incorporate both together. All right, I can't say that 100%. I've not seen him in action, but again, going back to what we discussed with regards to the reading your dog's body language, assess the full situation. Okay. How much approximately? I guess there will be different types. So I would have if you go on the Pets to Impress website, Jill, under the product section, we don't sell it, but there's a link for it on there. So the link for it is on there, and it'll take you to Amazon. I think they're around about $5, but in all fairness, you'll be able to get them from Pets at Home as well. If you have a look at the little picture that I shared, that's the one I would advise, okay? I'm not a fan of the ones that are like whistle and clickers combined. It doesn't really matter. I've just always preferred the clicks ones. And what I like about them ones too is it's got a volume button on the back as well too. So if you've got a dog that's a little bit noise sensitive, you can reduce it as well. So there you go, Clickers £4 in Pets at Home. Okay. Let's have a look. Go back to these questions. Right, okay, going back to Steph then. So it doesn't do paw usually after that, okay? So that, it could potentially be a stress signal. I can't have a look at the situation, have a look at the full scenario, okay? And remember, obviously, when it comes to training, make it fun. Don't shout at him. If you're more trying to get him to do things in a military style sort of way, so you say, right, Monty, sit, Monty, down. Naturally, he might be feeling a little bit worried in that scenario. So you need to make sure that you're quite light-hearted as well, and make sure that you're making it fun for him. If you make it fun, he's going to want to respond. And you've got to remember how well he's done so far. He's responded so well to the training, and he'll continue to respond well to the training. The paw lifting, it could be a stress signal, but I've not seen it in action, so I can't say 100%. I wouldn't want to say, oh yeah, he's really, really stressed, back away. It could just be that that's his little quirk, I guess. He sits and his paw just automatically goes up. Again, just to repeat what I've said a number of times, it's assessing the full situation. Okay. With attention seeking, so I'll move on to the next question. With attention seeking, Teddy started doing stuff that he knows will ask him to leave to get a treat. For example, how about plants in the garden? Look at us while holding the plant in his mouth and drop as soon as we say leave, like he's anticipating the treat. Would you ignore this or still say leave? Yeah, so dogs are very clever, especially if they know something's going to follow. They follow like a routine. They know they like to know what's coming next, and they learn very quickly what's coming next. If he's doing things anticipating the treat, just walk away from him. All right, don't acknowledge him at all. Remember those 3 rules: don't look, don't speak, don't touch. If you see him do it, just walk away, and he's going to think, hang on, what's going on here? I don't like that. I normally get attention for this, or I normally get a treat. Okay, just walk away from him and let him see that doing that is literally going to get him absolutely nothing. And as best as you can, obviously not in the garden, I appreciate that, but as best as you can, things that you would normally get that you shouldn't, just try and keep out of his reach. Okay. Kobe's going through another biting ankle stage, is ignore the best approach. So what I would do with that is I would just kind of strip it back and go back to the beginning puppy stages of teaching play biting. So I would always carry around some form of ammunition, so like a squeaky toy or something like that. Every time Kobe chews, it starts biting your ankle, keep that ankle as still as you possibly can. Okay, reach for your ammunition, wiggle it excitably. As soon as she goes for that, lots of praise, lots of reward. Obviously, be careful if it's especially on the stairs, but make sure that she gets more attention for playing with the toys, okay, than she does chewing on you. Chewing on you, she shouldn't get up anything for, okay? Don't look, don't speak, don't touch, all right? Very, very important that you remember that one. She'll be pushed. I think a lot of owners are finding that dogs are reverting back to, say, certain habits that they might have had when they were younger. Certain dogs have developed new things as well too. Again, just to repeat what I've already said, we've got to remember this is a strange time for them as well too. They're not used to what's happening. They don't understand anything about the coronavirus. They don't know why we're home. They don't know why life has been changed as it has, okay? And they're going to find different ways to try and get our attention. We just need to make sure that whatever that is, we are ignoring it from the word go, okay? Otherwise, we reinforce that behavior and teach them that actually they're going to get attention for doing so. I've started teaching Ollie the hide, and so far his paws are up on my forearm. What's the next stage? So what you would do, so obviously you've got his paws on your arm, okay? Then what you would do is use the treat as a lure, okay? So you can either shape the behavior or you can lure the behavior, okay? So you can either use the treat, put it to his nose and slowly bring it down, okay? Practice that a few times before you introduce the command word. So the command word would then be hide, okay? Or you can shape the behavior. By shaping the behavior, you have his legs on your arm, you withhold the treat and you wait to see what he does, okay? Out of frustration, he's going to try something to get the treat. Okay, the split second his head starts to go down, give him a treat. Praise it individually, praise it gradually as well. So don't just try and wait for his head to go all the way down. If his head starts to lower ever so slightly, give him a treat immediately for it. Again, this is the benefit of clicker training, because you would be able to mark those desired movements, okay? I've struggled on some days to get training fitted in with being at work, or the tasks likely be too time consuming to complete in just a few hours a day. Nope, definitely not. So like I say, it is going to be run a little bit differently. I'm going to be issuing a lot of the things to work with, and you're going to have a few days to work with them, because they are going to be a little bit more advanced. So it will be, you will definitely be able to fit it in. And remember, of course, obviously you can go back to them, because you're going to have PDF copies as well too. It's not necessarily going to be, we're not going to have like a teams, it definitely won't be a team structure as so with this one, okay? So it's not a case of, oh my God, I've got to do this to help the rest of the team out, okay? This is going to be something that you can enjoy with your dog in your own time. And I appreciate, obviously, some people are out at work during the day and they do have a short period of time just to work with the dog. That's absolutely fine. And remember, we only really need to be doing 3 to 4 training sessions per day anyway, all right? And each session should only be around about 10, 15 minutes long. So certainly that might be something that you can do before work, certainly something you can do after work, certainly something you can get the kids involved with as well too, especially if you're using clickers, because that's going to mark the desired behavior. So yeah, definitely, it's not going to be too time consuming. It's all about having fun. And that's the purpose of it, okay? It's about having fun with your dog during this unknown time. Right, Christine, also, what do you think? What do you think your dog is on? So, right, okay, really good question, actually, Christina. So Christina's just put, I'll read it out loud. I should have probably read all the other questions out loud, really, because this is going to be replayed back, but never mind. So what do you do if you think your dog is responding, moving up the ladder of aggression whilst performing a necessary task like grooming him? Do you just leave him or carry on because you need to comb him? He's actually desperate for a cut, so combing him is taking a lot longer to prevent matting. Technically, I would say if he's displaying signals to say he's not happy, I would back away and go back to him at a later time. Okay, so whether that be going back to him half an hour later, an hour later, I wouldn't be pushing him, because if you push him, a very good chance that he could bite. He might not, okay, he might not. He might just display these signals but not actually progress up the ladder. He might actually stop himself from progressing up the ladder, okay? But there is still that risk, okay? And what you don't want is for him to get to a stage where he learns, right, if I do this, i.e. biting or growling, I'm going to be able to stop her, because then he's going to do that time and time again, okay? Yeah, I would do it slowly and gradually. Make sure there's always treats involved as well too. Maybe think about a licky mat. So, you know, like the little licky mat you can get from Pets at Home, from Amazon and things like that. Smear some doggy peanut butter on it, so he's standing, he's happy with that, whilst you're just gently giving him a comb. And then what you're doing is you're building up a positive association to the fact that he is getting groomed, okay, rather than this negative association that he's potentially developing already, okay? So I hope that makes sense on that one. Do we have any final questions? I said it wasn't going to go on too long, this webinar. I've totally lied, haven't I? Never mind. An hour and a half later. Well, we did start a little bit late because of Tim and his shitness at any form of technology, I guess. No, right. Well, if there's no questions, we'll leave it at that. This will be available to rewatch at any time. I will be sharing it with you guys in the isolation station. You will also receive an email with a link that chances are it's not going to be this evening, but you will be receiving it. I will put a link for the Dancing with Dogs 4-week course on the isolation station. I'll probably do that this evening, actually. And then you can go back to it if you do decide to join. I really hope you do. You've been an absolutely brilliant group of owners and dogs to work with, and I really hope that I can continue to help you throughout this isolation, I guess. So I'll leave it at that then. I'll stop the recording.